Greetings and all that rot, my repellent revelers. Sugar Pants here, back from the basement with another bloated benefaction for your beguilement. 2013's Skinless, a feculent foray full of forged formations. That's a fancy way of saying this movie really doesn't do a good job of hiding what it's copying. Now, before I get into this one, I want to start off by saying congratulations to writer-director Dustin Mills. The fact that you were able to create a movie at all is an achievement all on its own. Add to that the supposed four-figure budget, and it's a wonder this project is viewable at all. So, thumbs up for that. That being said, this movie's pretty fucking terrible. But let's not get ahead of ourselves in this one. First things first, let's flay up that sleaze docket and see what this anemic entree is offering. We have 3 dead bodies, 1 dead dog, 64 cups blood, 1 cup acid vomit, 1 cup normal vomit, 1 syringe of Dr. West's reanimating agent, 8 naked breasts, 5 naked butts, 3 naked bajingos, 1 naked dong, rafter panties, gratuitous lens flare abuse, gratuitous Matt Fruering, gratuitous Seth Brundling, casual dong conversation, magical gummy cancer worm, funding pulled before breakthrough cliche, rich douchebag won't give funding cliche, doc experiments on himself cliche, I'm already dead cancer cliche, unrequited love cliche, something came up cliche, broken light switch cliche, rising orchestral drone cliche, Rubik's Cubery, caffeinated cameraman shakes, acid vomit sprayed face, acid vomit sprayed eyes, acid vomit shower, 1 handectomy, 1 jawectomy, 1 bloody bath, 1 head stomp, 1 gnawed ankle, scalpel carved face removal, 1 ripped mouth tentacle, 1 self-ripped mouth tentacle, pry bar crushed dog skull, 1 bullet to the skull, 1 doggy test subject, 1 skinless dog puppet, melted flesh ingestion, 1 intimately inserted can of mace, and live action tentacle hentai. Doesn't sound too bad, does it? So what happened? Skinless is a bog standard man vs. science horror in which the doctor's own creation destroys him. In this case, Dr. Peter Peel, yes, that's the actual name they gave him, has skin cancer and is working on a cure. He gets his hands on a magical plot device worm that conveniently targets cancer cells when it kills its victims. So naturally, it must be surmised that it can be used to synthesize an enzyme that eradicates cancer without killing the host. They try to explain this using techno-jargon babbly-boo, and none of the actors are able to deliver the lines well enough to convince me they actually believe it. Long story short, the doc can't get funding for proper testing and injects himself with the goo. Shockingly, something goes horribly wrong. Basically, it eliminates his cancer immediately, but then it starts consuming his own skin. Once he's out of skin, he starts getting hungry for others' skin. A couple people get eaten, a dog is experimented on for absolutely no reason other than to get a second monster involved. The doc kidnaps the girl he loves, attempts to rape her for some offspring, is stopped by whatever is left of his own dwindling humanity, and she puts a bullet through his skull. The end. And I know what you're thinking. Every part of that sounds phenomenal. So what's the problem? Well, unfortunately, there's a lot wrong with this one. Biggest issue of all, they don't even pretend to so blatantly rip off 1986's The Fly. Whether it's Dr. Pete's carbon copy Seth Brundle impression,
oh, please don't be afraid. I would never hurt you. I'm very glad that you decided to stay with me.
the acid vomit he uses to both kill and eat, going so far as to fucking demonstrate it for Alice during dinner and calling it Goldbluming. Like, are you fucking serious?
I call this Goldbluming.
And then ending it with the idea of breeding with his love interest to consummate their ultimate collaboration.
This will be our ultimate collaboration, Dr. Cross.
before realizing what a monster he's become and is mercifully put down by the woman he loves. The second issue I have, the camera work is fucking atrocious. Anytime something interesting is happening, the camera operator shakes like a tractor on bad gas that also has Parkinson's disease. I mean, I get it. You don't have anything for a budget, so you gotta use cheap, inexpensive techniques to cover up the extremely rough edges this production has. But at some point it crosses over into unwatchable and pointless territory. I mean, if this is what you feel like you have to do to your movie to hide the weakness of your practical special effects, maybe a movie full of practical special effects isn't for you. Third issue, my first time through this one, I think I only managed to understand about a third of the Doctor's dialogue once he transforms into Skinless Pete here. Once the others discover Pete's not exactly human, they find him with this Hollow Man rubber mask look going for him. In the movie, he realizes his body is consuming his skin, so he attempts to save his humanity by carving off his face before it's gone forever. Okay, fair enough. I like that idea. But what it means is the actor wearing a monster mask now has another rubber mask draped over his mask. Two masks now muffle the actor's ability to physically emote as well as deliver lines unobstructed. And with as little as this one is rumored to have cost, I have absolutely no idea if any ADR was done for this one. If it was, they still made it a fucking chore to understand. This one definitely needs the captions turned on. And if you're going to give your lead actor an emotionless face, the actor better be good enough to emote through it, either through a loud voice or body language. Kane Hodder could do this through a hockey mask. Jim Carrey could do it through so much green latex he was going crazy on set. Maybe work more on studying them and less time working on your Brundlefly impression. This is actually my second attempt to review Skinless. It originally was slated to be a first-year episode, but as I was going over it, I really felt like I wasn't fully prepared to tackle this one. So I shelved it until I had a couple of years worth of episodes done. Let me just say, I really wanted to like this one. Having nothing for a budget, it's like the horror movie underdog story. It's the little beast that could, chugging down that hallway, machete in hand. I think I'll kill. I think I'll kill. I think I'll kill. I think I'll kill. It's just so hard to look past the blatant plagiarism. It's one thing to do a loving homage, but it's a completely different beast just recreating what you've already seen. If you're going to do that, then be smart enough to not pick a movie that was a clinic in practical horror makeup effects and dramatic acting that cost $15 million 40 fucking years ago and still looks freaking phenomenal to this day. It's possible to honor something and stay in your lane, budgetarily speaking. I mean, just look at me. Scary Clown? Check. Sleaze Docket? Check. Goofy, silly, dark sense of humor? Check. Bagging on awful movies like I Don't Have a Choice? Check. Anyone can clearly see what my inspirations were long before you see them listed in my end credits, but I still try to mash them all together into something unique and different. I sure wish the team behind Skinless did a little more of the same. And it's really a shame because I feel like this one could have been something special. Erin R. Ryan played Dr. Alice Cross, Peter's love interest, who's only interested in being friends. Pete kidnaps her and locks her up in his attic. Great! Do more of that! That's your horror movie! By the time she's trapped, Pete has basically fully gone through his transformation and is as far along as he's going to go in this movie. What would have been a better story would be to have Alice locked up in the attic much earlier in the movie and make her escape the focus. Every time she sees Pete, he's a little more monstrous and less human. It's a little cliche, but who cares about cliches when your movie is more or less a complete ripoff? A great idea that would have cost nothing, have Pete kill a victim after Alice has been locked up, and stay on Alice. She's listening to some horrific shit going on downstairs and has no clues to go on other than the screams and the sound effects. I bet she could have carried a scene like that. And not showing the kill? Well, that just lets every audience member make it real in their own head and thus way scarier than anything you could have filmed. Think about the Blair Witch Project. You never saw the witch, so whatever it was in those woods was solely made up in the viewer's mind. Also, the scene where Josh was being killed, far off in the distance, all we could do was listen to his echoey screams. It was chilling. But it can also work for big budget movies too. Think back to Alien. Remember Lambert? We see the alien corner her. She sobs, and then we leave. And Ripley listens to her awful noises over the communicator. Anything they actually filmed wouldn't even come close to what our own twisted imaginations came up with the first time we saw that. I'm a big fan of the show don't tell filmmaking tip, but sometimes the budget requires some creativity. Unfortunately, most of this movie's creative direction came in the form of shaking the dick out of the camera the whole fucking time. So at the end of the day, I can't give this one my recommendation. But I wouldn't mind checking out something from later on in Dustin Mills' career. I'd like to see if maybe he's grown since 2013. He's only been in the director's chair like 21 times since Skinless. I have to imagine he's improved in some ways. Nobody remains at the same level they started at. Well, I mean, unless you're Rob Zombie. So until I greet you again for another putrid picture show, this is your pompous prankster Sugar Pants. See you in your dreams.
Morning, Pete. And that's your penis.
Good morning, Al.